What we want to do now is to illuminate the lower section of our background plane, as seen here in the finished result. To start, we can click into the Scene tab, zoom out, and select our background object, right-click it, and then finally click to duplicate the part. The strategy here is to be efficient with how we add geometry. We could choose to add a fresh plane into the scene, but since we want to add a plane which has a relatively similar size and position as the one that currently exists, it makes more sense to simply duplicate the object and tweak its proportions. Since this object is intended to light up the bottom portion of our backdrop, let's rotate this object slightly downward so that light doesn't spill upward. Speaking of light, next step is to change the plane's material type to area light. By default, an area light emits from both the front and back of its surface, but you could choose to disable one side if you only want light in a single direction. In this case, we'll uncheck Apply to Front of Geometry. The light needs some positional adjustments still, but take note how switching between the local and global axis is a commonly needed procedure when rotating and translating objects. Our background light is now in place, but let's scale this horizontally in order to better concentrate the light. Our newly added light at the bottom of our backdrop now adds a nice touch, but how can we elevate this scene further? To direct the scene creatively, the next move is to darken the background's upper section and give the composition more intent. By darkening the upper part of the background, the lamp's bright areas stand out more clearly against the darker backdrop. To darken our backdrop, we'll be manipulating its material. To start, double-click on the backdrop and then click into the material graph. Once again, the material graph is a bit of an advanced topic which will be fully explained and demonstrated in later videos, but for now, we'll be using it to alter our backdrop's color. Now, in order to see the changes that may take effect, you are going to want to reposition the material graph over to the side and also click and drag over these two nodes in order to make room for a new one. Right-click any empty space here, hover over Textures, and then select Color Gradient. Click and drag our node to the left, left-click on the node, and then press C to enter the color preview. Our objective, once again, is to darken the top portion of our backdrop. Here we can see, however, that our color gradient needs to be rotated. To do this, click on Move Textures, and then utilize the Move Tool's Rotation gizmo while holding Shift in order to rotate the color gradient texture. Then translate this texture downward. After left-clicking on the color gradient node and pressing C on our keyboard once more, we can disable the color preview, only to see not a lot has changed. Actually, no effect at all has taken place, and that's because we need to connect the color gradient node to the diffuse channel of our plastic material. We can now move this texture to demonstrate its effect in real time, and at this point, it would be a good idea to jump back into our camera to see how things are looking. It looks like our color gradient texture can still be moved a bit. Instead, we could also choose to adjust the scale of our color gradient texture, but moving it up seems to be more useful. Evaluating our scene is a bit tricky with our area light still visible to the camera, so let's click into its settings and uncheck its visibility. Our scene is now looking great, but the right side of the orange lamp is still looking a little dark. Let's click into the Environment tab, add a pin, target the right side of the podium, and then increase the light's brightness. This scene is now nearly finished, but let's make a few small adjustments. Let's start by clicking into the light and increasing the power value. This looks a lot better, but now we need to readjust the bloom parameters to reduce the glowing effect. This glow around the edge of the lampshade is now reduced. Finally, we can improve the look of our scene by adding in a little more contrast back into our gobo setup. To do this, click on the Scene tab, find the spotlight in the tree, click on it, and then click into the material graph so that we can increase the output to value found in the color to number node. Okay, done. Time to render the scene out. After clicking on Render at the bottom of the interface, let's give our render a name. Next, choose where the render will be saved, and then select the size of the rendering. Choose PNG as your file format, and then since we have an object serving as our backdrop, It won't impact anything if we select the transparency option or not. Next, click on Options in order to increase samples to 3000. Alright, that's it. Click on Render and process your image.